he kind of explained me how to ride a bike fast but safe.
Okay.
And what I needed to do is, and straight away I felt like that's a sick tool to help you race on race day and to help you perform under pressure. After that qualies and after being 7th in the race, I felt the Syndicate on my chest is just putting pressure on me, and I don't want it anymore. People were stoked, but I wasn't stoked about the season. It's hard to make peace with that because...
Nina Hoffmann, welcome back to the Downtime podcast in, I would say, sunny Ludenville, but it's been a bit rough this morning.
It's sunny now, but this trick's on you. It's been raining a lot.
It has been pretty rough. Yeah. We're sitting down after the first day of practice, which has been called short. The second session has been cancelled due to, I think they need to do some work on one of the sections of track.
They kind of wanted to save the track, so they decided to not let us ride, to fix the track in bits and to keep it running good for tomorrow, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. But I thought it'd be interesting to dig a little bit into that, like, practice process for you, because we messaged a little bit trying to tie in today, and you were like, I'll probably be finished like about 2 hours after practice. So I don't think people get much of a window into what goes on. Like, can you talk us through some of the basics for you that what you're trying to tick off in that first practice session? Maybe today it's a bit more challenging to tick some of that stuff off, and then what you're doing like after a practice session, like what does that involve for you to kind of start getting ready for a week of racing?
So first day practice is always there to learn the tracks, to try lines and to kind of get up to your speed. So currently we have always 2 hours break, another 2 hours, so I try to do 3 runs in the first session and 2 to 3 runs in the next session. And the morning practice is mainly to get used to the bike, to the track, to the conditions, getting a bit confident on lines. And sometimes I already start doing changes on the bike because I can, like today was pretty different in the mud, but usually after 2 runs you get a feeling of how the bike's working and what you maybe want to change on that track, because that got a pretty big thing for me to make the bike work for me and help me on the track. And then in the afternoon session we get the chance to do some timed laps, so I try to do a full run. It's not always working, there's always things coming up your way and they're not going how you want it, but usually try to do a full run to get a bit up to speed already and kind of decide on where you're going and what you want.
Fair play. And then once you come down off the practice session, like I guess there's some cool down, like what kind of stuff gets done in that time?
For example in Andorra, I've done pretty quick last lap and I was still breathing hard, so I went straight on my turbo trainer to spin and get the lactate out of the legs as good as possible, like 10 minutes or something, spin and cool down, like still dressed up. But here, for example, I came down from my last run, which was not really a run because I had so many red flags, people just crashing everywhere, including me this time. First 2 runs were good, last one not. So I kind of just started to clean myself up and get changed. So first is definitely cooling down, getting food. That's most important in the first 30 minutes. Get your food and carbs and protein.
Is there like a certain balance of protein and carbs that you want to get in that window?
I started with a nutritionist last winter, and she kind of realized I'm not eating enough carbs during my workouts. So I started to put carbs in my drinks now, and that's what I'm drinking during the session, but also after. Because she says the main, like, protein is good and you need it, but carbs is the first thing you need. So get your carbs, then get the protein. Don't care about fat and any vitamins and stuff too much. You don't need that essentially for race weekend. And then slowly get changed. Then I start analyzing my runs. I kind of now always track every run with my GoPro. I always have it turned on. You never know what's going to happen, and I always like to have the footage and to look through it and to look through lines and see why I maybe slid here or why this happened or something. Also to compare times. Sometimes you have like 2 lines and you want to see which one is better.
So you can get a more accurate feel from the GoPro
and a more
footage.
Objective one. So you have subjective feeling, or like that line felt much better. But maybe it's just because you rode it 2 or 3 times. And another one you only rode once was maybe the same speed in the end, but with only riding it once, so you could make it even better.
Yeah.
So little things like that.
Nice.
Going to my mechanic, speak to him about bike setup, about looking at my data. Actually, we have a BYB telemetry system.
Interesting.
Always first day on.
Yeah.
To see how what the bike is doing, how the suspension is working, and how we can help me with that.
Yeah.
And what we need to change. Usually I come down and say like, oh, it feels like that, and I really want that. Sometimes I come down and say like, oh, it feels like that. Can we have a look on the data if that confirms it?
Okay.
And actually in Andorra, it was the case that I felt like the bike is all right. And then Ethan, my mechanic, came to me saying like, the numbers are telling me this and this. Should we do that?
Interesting.
Like, well, if you say that so now, let's give it a try.
Okay.
So,
and did it feel better?
It did feel better in the end, yeah.
Okay. And is it mostly like compression and rebound speed? Is that the sort of stuff you're tending to look at?
Yeah, it's mainly, and it's mostly a click.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's not crazy much.
Yeah.
Working more with the compression than the rebound, I'd say.
Okay.
On the fork, a bit more on the rebound, and on the shock, a bit more with the compression currently.
Interesting. Yeah.
But it's just a feeling. And what we actually just got recently is a spring that you can adjust in 5 pound steps, and that changed my life because I'm kind of in between spring rates.
Yeah.
And then you always either you put a softer spring on and you're running a bit too much compression, or you put the firmer one on and you have to run the compression pretty open.
Yeah.
So that made my life much easier.
Interesting. Yeah, we've had that problem in the little downhill team project we've been doing. Like, A, there's variation in the springs themselves, and then B, at best you've got a 25 pound window.
Yeah.
So if you can shrink that and get a bit more, like it with an air shock, I guess. Have you
Exactly.
thought about trying air to be able to be more accurate on that, or no?
The V10 and air shocks are not the biggest fans.
Okay. Fair play. Yeah.
To be honest, I've never tried it. I think I've tried it years ago when I was not on a Syndicate.
Okay.
But I'm kind of a big fan of coil shocks anyway.
They do feel nice when you get them set up and
I
dialed
love them
into
on
your
my
weight.
trail bikes as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the Nomad with a coil shock.
I can imagine
Or the
that
Bullet.
feels pretty good. Oh yeah,
E-bikes,
let's not get into e-bikes. We'll be here all day. So yeah, it's well, first off, thanks for taking a chunk out of your race week, because I know it's a busy week for you. And last time you came on was May 2020, so there's a lot that's gone on since then. I think at that point you'd stood on World Cup podiums, but not on the top step yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, your first win came not long actually after we had that conversation in Maribor. Talk us through it. Like, how was it to finally take that top step?
That is long ago now. It feels long ago. It's funny you saying finally taking a top step, because 2018 was my first World Cup.
True.
2019 was my first full season with missing the last 2 races because I've been injured. And I think Maribor must have been like something like my 10th World Cup or something.
Maybe not even, huh? Like, it was pretty early, yeah.
It's 4, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe like 10. I came a little bit not out of nowhere, but I was quite surprised by it.
Really?
The run was good, but not like coming down and thinking like this is a winning run.
Okay.
But also I've never considered I can put down a winning run at this time.
Interesting. So you didn't believe it was on yet? Because you'd already qualified fastest at Andorra,
in
I think.
Andorra, yeah. That was the only time till now that I qualified first.
Okay.
Yeah. And then lost my shoe in the race run.
We'll talk about that a bit later on.
True, I did qualify first there, but
you still didn't believe it was on.
Nah, it's still like winning a World Cup. I mean, being the fastest woman in the world on that day. If you say that, it still feels sick.
Okay, well, it is sick. Yeah, it's amazing.
I could not picture it at that moment. So, overwhelmed me a little bit. But at the same time, it was COVID. Not many fans there. Usually, to be honest, it was only photographers and media and teams.
Yeah.
So I stood on a podium in front of 20 cameras and that's it.
Yeah, that's a shame in a way. I hadn't thought about the impact of that until the Olympics. A lot of athletes were talking about
Olympics, Tokyo.
How good it was being at this Olympics and receiving a medal compared to Tokyo.
Absolutely.
And I hadn't really thought about the impact on mountain biking for that.
I mean, social media went crazy. So if I turn on my phone, there were loads of messages and people celebrating this win. That was sick. But saying like 2020, my win at Fort William felt so much better. Proper, everyone there, big crowd. Exactly.
Very different.
So
nice. Well, let's cover teams because there's been quite a lot of change there.
Yeah.
You were running your own team back last time we spoke. What did your role involve with that team beyond athlete? Because I think you were wearing quite a lot of hats with that project, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of a privateer, and then after doing well in 2019, Cruz gave me some good money to set up my own team and to organize all my stuff and got a mechanic then.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. I had always someone by my side helping me. And then my sister was with me on most of the races, just helping out and cool. taking a bit of organization away. And Sven from Yinbike from home, he was trying to help me with organization and sponsors. But in the end, I was the person dealing with all the sponsors, negotiating the contracts with them. I was booking the accommodations, I was booking the flights, I was taking care of rental vehicles if we needed something, setting up the pit, getting like pit registered and register myself, picking up the numbers.
A lot of work.
If I think about it now, it's actually crazy because after being for almost 3 years now in the Syndicate, I could not believe to do all that stuff anymore.
Well, yeah, last time I think I'd asked you about like whether you'd been in discussion with bigger teams, and you personally made that decision to stay with your own program. To use your own words, you said you liked being your own boss.
Yeah.
How's that changed? Like, and how did you end up joining the Syndicate?
Yeah. I think if you never experience what a big team can give you, you don't really realize how much work it takes off you. To be honest, when I had my own team, especially towards the second season, towards the end, I could feel a bit like that's a lot of stress as well and a lot of things to manage. And if you're on a high and if you feel good, you can handle it and juggle it around quite well.
Yeah.
If you're on the low, it gets tough, especially like media stuff and so on. So I mean, I was paying my photographer and trying to get video and stuff, but then had to send it out to all the sponsors and after the race and all that stuff and trying to organize an interview here or there. And I don't know, that felt, because booking accommodations and stuff you can all do before the season.
Yeah.
That can all been done before you get to race, but then the stuff on site, setting up the pit as well and all these little things that kind of, it's a lot of work. So when I got the opportunity after the 21 season, Santa Cruz was asking again, so what's your plan for next year? We're happy to support you doing your own team for another 1, 2, whatever years. Or we would have a spot on the Syndicate for you. And I felt like, now it's the right point of time.
Yeah.
I felt like after the 19th season, it would have been a bit too early.
Okay.
Only having one proper season in the World Cup and then already being on a full, like one of the biggest pro teams.
That's quite a big call though. I think a lot of people would like almost jump at that chance to be on such a desirable team. Like, what was it that made you think, when you say it's too early, like what do you think what problems would it have caused joining a team that big that early?
To be honest, I think Santa Cruz itself brought that point up to me. By saying like, think about what pressure a big team can bring onto you. Mm-hmm. Because right now you kind of have excuses if you're not doing well. See, like
I'm a privateer. Yeah.
You can kind of say that I have so much things going on and I don't have a line scout, I don't have a mechanic that's a World Cup mechanic for years and have experience. I don't have a chef, a physio, whatever with me. And you can still build and learn stuff. And what I really appreciate is that I went through all that myself to have all this organizational load on my shoulders. So I know what the team is doing now and I really appreciate it now.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm stoked that Santa Cruz actually, we had a good chat after the 19th season and we both agreed on, I think it's better if I stay on my own.
It's pretty smart.
On my own team.
I like it. How are you getting on not being your own boss then? Or do you still get a bit of a boss card being an athlete within the team?
I think one more thing just came to my mind about the Syndicate is also, and still in 2020 when I joined the Syndicate, I felt like we have Greg Minard, we have Laurie Greenland, then we have Jackson Goldstone, and then it's me, Nina Hoffmann. I felt like these three guys are on another level than I am, still in 2020. And if I would have imagined joining the team in 20 already, with like even bigger names or same big names, I think it would have been too much pressure. And still in 2020, I felt a lot of pressure with having the Syndicate on my chest now.
It's a big deal, isn't it? It's a team that's really in the spotlight for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of media attention, even within the team. Like they put a lot of media out themselves. So you're very much.
Yeah, our media crew is doing a good job.
Yeah, they're smashing it. Yeah, good stuff. When did you first get together as a team? Then was there a Portugal team camp before that season?
Yeah, Portugal team camp.
Because it was pretty much like a whole new setup, wasn't it? There was a lot of new staff that year, new mechanics.
And this is why I also felt it's a perfect start with the Syndicate now. It's like I think it's only been Greg, Steve, and Lyle from the old team. The rest was all new people, and that just gave it a new vibe and a fresh like input or something. So we were just a new crew, kind of trying to work out a new Syndicate, and. No, it was actually pretty funny sitting on this big dinner table in Lusa, and all the bosses from the US were coming over and everyone. So it was kind of intimidating in some places for me.
It's a big deal, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I still remember that first. I've never met Jackson before properly, never met Laurie properly before. Did know Greg quite a bit. But and even my mechanic, I just was on the phone with him before, just got him to see then in Lusa. So
that's amazing. Yeah, a lot of people will try and move teams with their mechanic, and that didn't happen obviously with you moving to Syndicate. There's quite a risk, I guess, taking on a new person because it's such an important relationship.
Absolutely.
Talk us through like how you got to know Ethan, like how that relationship sort of progress, because it's such a big part of your performance, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Until the beginning of the year, I didn't really know who's my mechanic gonna be. We agreed on I'm not bringing on my own mechanic because I was kind of also struggling to find a good World Cup mechanic myself, so I was switching mechanics. Like I had 2 mechanics for the 2 seasons. It takes a lot to be a good World Cup mechanic. And time and everything, so it's not easy to find someone. So I was kind of stoked that the team came up with an idea, and then I was like, can I maybe have his phone number so we can have a chat before we meet, maybe at least once. And then we had a talk, and then he was pretty sound, and I thought like, seems like a good guy. And obviously I was open. I'm kind of open for new people and persons and everything, and after almost 3 years now, we worked out came to a really good relationship. We're working pretty good together. Yeah. Right now, I could not imagine not having him.
That's cool.
By my side on the races. I really rely on him, and appreciate his work. He's working hard. He's coming up. He's thinking out of the box and coming up with new ideas I'm not even thinking about. Like example with the spring I just talked about. I never knew there are springs on the market.
Okay.
Like that, and he just came up with it, and I was like, oh, nice. Little things like that. So he's definitely there to help me to go number one.
Yeah, but it's
so that's our goal, and that's what drives us.
It becomes a partnership, right? It's a lot more than just the person that keeps your bike running and keeps it
and we're
clean,
spending so much time together.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's a good friendship as well now.
Yeah,
so.
And your warm-ups look fun at the top of the
they're
hill.
Always fun. In Andorra, our TheraBand snapped.
Oh, no way.
It was so funny because in the moment I pulled it, the first time I was like, oh, it feels pretty tight today. And literally 2 more pulls and it snapped right almost in his face.
Oh, no.
And then for the warm-up for my World Champs run. Very good laugh about it.
Yeah, but you've been playing all sorts of games at the top of like race runs. Is it to sharpen your mind? Is it just to take the weight off the situation? Like
just taking a bit the weight off, and because I'm a person can easily overthink things, and not to be able to switch off my mind and just to have a bit of fun just helps me. And he loves it too, and he's just always good at making fun stuff and jokes. And
yeah, and he's normally got his fingernails painted as well as part of the crew.
That is actually bad. Still got the paint job on from one, though. I just realized when we were in the car, I'm like, oh no, we're doing a video podcast and I'm having my fingernails. No. Anyway.
Well, we can sort it out. Post-production. We'll colour them up for you.
Don't blame me, people.
So how's it been then? Like, what have you found have been the most valuable parts of being on a full factory team? Like, what are the most useful elements of everything that they give you?
A race team is taking so much off your shoulders that you can solely focus on racing, and you literally have nothing else to do than turn up and race. Get your training done and race. And it's just insane. I don't have to, I kind of like, for example, with nutrition, I'm like still like, oh, I want to do my own shakes, I want to do my own this and that, but just to have a little bit control about a few things and still have something to do.
Yeah.
Or like do my social media, I'm fine with doing it myself and so on, just to have a little few things. And but like, for example, now our clothes are all dirty and muddy and everything. I just threw them on the floor and oh, that sounds bad. I just put them on the floor. And then the team is cleaning it and washing it. It's going to be all ready and set for tomorrow.
That's amazing.
Bike's going to be clean. So if I think of these conditions and if I would be on my own, I would be, oh my God. It is fun riding in these conditions, but all the job afterwards is so painful.
Yeah.
But with the team, it's not. It's like, I don't care. And then I put a fresh set of goggles on for the next run, put a fresh set of gloves on, because we have enough stuff. We have just having so many resources. It's insane.
Yeah.
Food, everything we have a perfect chef. We have a physio with us. He always is there if I need something or if I have problems with anything. And then people on track. You get information how track's developing. Maybe take this line because that one is getting rutted too much or something.
And very good people on track too.
True, yeah.
You're pretty lucky. Does it make normal life seem hard work when you go home and you've got to do your own washing?
Kind of. No, as I'm saying, I would sometimes love to do a bit more. I'm getting bored.
I can imagine. There's not a lot to do, eh?
It gives me time to do other stuff as well. So doing a podcast with you now, that would have not been able if I would have my own setup.
Yes,
no chance.
You'd have been washing kit, cleaning bikes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or like, for example, our pit is kind of flooded, but I don't have to care about that too much. The team's gonna solve it. So
it's pretty special.
So many people that are taking care, and they're there to help me and do my best. And
Nice. And you're on the team with Jackson, unfortunately not around at the moment still. We miss you, Jackson. Hopefully you'll be back soon. Laurie and Ollie, so the only female athlete on the team. Like, how do you find that, being in a team with a load of boys?
This question comes always up, but I always say we are in a sport where it's about 10% women and 90% men. So I'm used to hanging around with male people. And so it's in a team. We still have a female chef. We have Nash, our social media girl. So I still have a few girls around me.
Yeah, you're not the only one in the accommodation sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we actually don't have really, let's say, masculine males in the team.
Okay.
So even if it's a lot of boys, it's still a pretty good environment, and everyone, like, I can even if it is a male people, I can talk with them pretty good about kind of everything, and I'm not feeling like I'm different or something. So yeah, I think it's all good. And I mean, obviously I would love to get another female rider.
I was going to say, could you see yourself having a female teammate?
I would love to have a female rider, mainly, or another junior, to have someone in practice. Because I'm alone in practice. I'm alone in the morning. It's only me in the pits. Kind of. I mean, mechanics are there and so on. But just to share simple stuff like comparing GoPros, or like, how did you feel this rod line goes? Or have you done this jump yet? Is it fine? Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that by now, but that was the case early in the years. Just to have someone to talk to during your practice.
Yeah, that companionship during that period. Yeah,
exactly. So, and even in team camps, the boys are much quicker than I am. So it would be sick to have someone that's kind of same speed and you can push each other. I mean, we have a rule that I'm not allowed to be. So we worked out that I'm always about 12% behind the boys' time.
Okay.
So when we do a team camp and we do testing,
that's the
that's
limit.
the rule. Exactly. It was pretty sick in New Zealand last year.
Yeah.
Because Jackson and me and Laurie were head to head in the timings.
No way. That's really interesting.
It was interesting.
Is there a forfeit if you're over 12%? I know what you lot are like. There's normally some kind of consequence, right?
Yeah. Not this time, luckily.
Okay. Good. Nice. So first season on Syndicate, I would say went pretty well. You took a win at Fort William.
Yeah.
Silver medal at World Champs in Leger.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you felt like you'd made the right move.
Yeah. Especially Fort William felt pretty good because the first race that year was Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the beginning of the season in March, and I only got 7th because first day practice went all well, and then I crashed in qualies, and that was after 21 season where I crashed a lot, had injuries, and my goal for the 22 season was just not crashing.
Stay on your bike.
Stay on my bike. And the first time run qualies in Lord, I crashed, and that's knocked my confidence.
Okay.
And then I crashed again on the same leg in practice, and I had such a dead leg and pain, and I only got 7th, and then that's what I meant with the pressure. So going into the first day practice in Lord, I was proud wearing the Syndicate on my chest.
Yeah.
After that qualies and after being 7th in the race, I felt the Syndicate on my chest is just putting pressure on me, and I don't want it anymore.
Interesting.
Or right now, I'm not ready for it right now.
Was it almost like an embarrassment wearing that, or like how?
Maybe not embarrassment, it's maybe a bit too hard,
Yeah, okay.
and it was just myself. The team was not putting the pressure on me.
Yeah.
It was just myself. I felt like, now you're on a Syndicate, now you have to perform. Now you want to perform. You have no excuses anymore because you have the best team around you. You have so many people taking care of you. They're just here for you, and you're not performing.
That's brutal, isn't it?
And I think if there would have been a next race straight after, it would have not stuck to my mind too much. But we had a 7-week break, and it was making my head.
Really?
Absolutely.
So how did you turn that around? I think, did you come over for the British National at Fort
Exactly.
William?
We went early to Fort William.
Yeah.
Done some testing before, done the British Nationals before. And I don't know, just everything went to plan. I had pretty good practice in Fort William. We had a setup worked out already, so I didn't have to change much on the bike. That helped me a lot. So I knew straight away that bike's rolling good.
Yeah.
And I just had a really good race run. And I came down, and my race run time was faster than the qualifying time. I think Kami, I don't know who won qualies. Anyway, but straight there I knew, okay, that was a good run. And no matter if someone's going to beat me, that was a good run. I'm stoked with that. That's always what I try to achieve, is putting the best performance down I can on that day. And then if someone beats me, okay, she has been better that day. But yeah, that's what kind of annoyed me about last week, Andorra.
Yeah, fair. We can talk about that maybe in a bit. So I would say it was like a pretty big step up in performance from 2021 to 2022.
Yeah.
Like, what would you put, other than stay on the bike, like what would you put that down to?
Definitely the team. Like just having the support and everything.
Yeah.
But also I started working with a skills coach, and after the 21 season, Fred Abu was from Germany.
Okay.
And he kind of changed my riding completely.
Interesting. Go on, tell me a bit more, like what changed?
So I was kind of fighting the bike too much. I was working way too much on the bike.
Yeah.
So my riding, maybe if you remember back in the years, was really aggressive and
yeah, it was an all-in style for sure.
Absolutely,
yeah.
all in or nothing. My race run in Leogang in 2019. Oh my god. So he kind of explained me how to ride a bike fast but safe.
Okay.
And what I needed to do is work less and let the bike work more. Use your suspension. Use your small ankles, so like your small joints, I want to say.
Okay, yeah.
So your ankles and your shoulders rather than your elbows and your knees or legs.
Yeah.
So don't squat, but work out of the ankles, and don't do push-ups, but make it out of the shoulders. And kind of get a bit higher in the bike.
Yeah.
So that's what we worked on, and I think I said I would not have won Fort William if I would not have his coaching over the winter, because for like a little thing, Fort William has like loads of steps, isn't it? It's kind of flat track, but all these steps are kind of steep. And I always had in my mind, my front wheel needs to be down as early as possible to make it kind of, to have like, be back on the ground and everything. But then he told me, but imagine, just picture it. If you put your front wheel down as early as possible, it's going to be a steep step. But if you just put your front wheel a meter further, it's going to be a way flatter step and drop down.
Yeah.
And the impact's going to be way less on the handlebars, going to be more in the middle of the bike. And you're going to carry more speed and you can ride it faster because you're not going to brake to push down, just go off. And that was a big thing that changed my mind
it's really
about riding. Yeah.
Was that the first time you'd had skills coaching? Because you'd not been riding really that long when you started racing World Cup, huh?
I was always looking for skills coach because I'm coming from track and field and I know how important working on your technical skills are. Yeah. Because in track and field and javelin, I've never done a session without my coach.
Okay.
He's saying throwing a javelin without me being there is useless. Don't have to do it because if you do a mistake, you're not going to realize. And then like mistakes are getting a habit and you're going to just establish wrong habits. And,
yeah, totally.
Or patterns. Anyway, so I was already looking for skills because when I started riding, first, my ex-boyfriend got me into riding and he kind of taught me a little bit, but that didn't really work. So René Schmidt was one of the first ones I worked with, also a German. But then we kind of stopped because he had other stuff to do and didn't really have time for that anymore. And I was looking, and to be honest, I didn't like first. I don't know if you know, but Fred was working with Wally quite a long time. He trained her since she was little. Yeah. And I knew that, and he was with Wally on the World Cups in 2020 and 21, I think. And I kind of didn't want to step into that relationship. Fair. And then I found out that they're going to part ways after the 21 season. Yeah. And then I was knocking on his door and I was like,
hello.
Here I am.
That's ace.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
And
did you find it hard? I find it, whenever I've done coaching, I find it quite hard. I slip back into my old way of riding.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I do as soon as I get unconfident. So if I'm confident and I know where I want to go and I know how I want to ride it, pinned.
Okay. Yeah.
As soon as I'm get a bit intimidated by something and maybe you had a crash before and you just knocked off your confidence, I'm getting back into a wrong position.
Yeah.
So
interesting. So a lot of hours of just trying.
Absolutely. And there's still a lot more work to do.
Okay.
If you think about your racing performance and you think about, say, like you have your physical abilities, you have your mental abilities, and you have a skill, these three circles, and then I think my bike skill is the biggest problem.
Okay.
I think physically I'm on a good level, or like, can you always be better, obviously?
Of course, yeah.
But I think putting in more work there is I'm not gonna get much out of it.
Yeah.
And then on the mental side, I think I'm quite all right as well. It's a tough season at the moment. I'm struggling a bit, to be honest, but I always have stuff I know how to work on that.
Yeah.
But then bike skill, as I only started riding 10 years ago.
It's endless, right?
It's endless, exactly.
Yeah.
And so.
Do you find that you can improve your downhill riding skill by riding any bike, or do you feel it needs to be hours on the downhill bike?
No, I think especially coming then in the off season from like November on or something, it's actually good to ride other bikes as well.
Yeah.
I want to do more pump track. I haven't done this in a while. Maybe even stuff like a bit of trials, balance.
Yeah.
Balance is going to help you a lot on tracks like these and conditions like these.
Yeah.
And then even stuff like going on your motorbike, motocross.
Yeah.
And go flat out, full gas, full speed. Gonna ride ruts and stuff. It's gonna help you on downhill.
Yeah, okay.
But then in the end, it all needs to be transferred onto the downhill bike. So when it comes closer to the season, you need to be on your downhill bike.
Yeah.
I think e-bike is really good as well because you get a lot of laps in, a lot of downhill time compared to uphill time. So for us, downhill as e-bike is
more time.
The best. I want to spend more time on the e-bike this winter than I had before. So
and the weight's more similar to a downhill bike maybe as well. So there's
I always feel like the full spec e-bikes, I feel they're a bit too heavy.
Okay.
For me, if as long as it's not too steep, it feels nice and feels good. But when it gets too steep, I feel like the fork's not working properly.
Okay.
The brakes are a bit on the limit. But with the light e-bikes now, that's the tour.
That's the one, is it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Nice. And you've spent a bit of time over in the UK with young Mr. Steve Pete as well, doing some
Mr.
skill
Steve Pete.
acquisition. Like, how's that been? Having someone like Steve
Yeah.
and, so much wisdom.
Yeah.
I think he's helped so many riders over the years. That must be a cool guy to have in your camp.
He's such a good lad. He's so much experience, and he's so like open to help with everything. And it gives me a lot, and it's a real honor to say to myself, I can ride with Steve Pete, and I'm on a team with Steve Pete, and he helps me. And obviously, coming over to the UK is always sick. I remember in 2020 joined a team, and then we done this team camp in Portugal, and then was kind of a bigger break until the next team camp. And Steve was suggesting, "Oh, why don't you want to come over to the UK? We do Revolution Bike Park and Davi Bike Park. I can give you my big Sprinter, and you can blah blah,
Nice.
cruise around in that one." I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do that." Driving on the wrong side in that big Sprinter. And I kind of thought he's maybe gonna come then for a day in the bike park or something.
Yeah.
But it ended up he was spending a whole week with me. Like, he was picking me up from the airport. He had sorted out all the accommodation. I was literally staying with Steve Pete in accommodation.
That's amazing.
And riding laps. And I was like, that feels kind of surreal.
That's really cool.
It's not going to be like this anymore, because now I'm used to it and we're close and everything. But back then it felt like, that's not happening right now.
My life. What happened to my life?
It's crazy. Yeah.
And you've worked quite a bit on jumping, I think, over the last few years as well.
Definitely.
Like, how do you approach that? Because you can only really get better at jumping by doing it, and that means conquering the fear, I guess.
I was just about to say, I think jumping, I'm not lacking the skill. It's more in my head, and I need to do it. And I was spending the winters at home. We don't have jumps at home. We don't have big jumps. And coming onto the team, I have an opportunity first ride with the good boys, the fast boys, and they just pulled me over stuff. And then second, the last 2 winters in New Zealand absolutely knocked any problems with jumping off. I'm not scared at all. Would not say not at all, but that's not a problem anymore. And it's just repetition.
Yeah, that must have really helped your mindset when you come to a World Cup, knowing like, I can just ride all these first time kind of thing. Like,
that's. I mean, this track now, I haven't done the last jump, but it's just because this last berm was so muddy and so sketchy. So I was just scared of casing it because of getting stuck in the mud. And so but usually I do all the jumps first run now. Also doing a whip off and stuff like that. I've never done things like that before, but when the boys go, when Jackson and Laurie get on the bike and throwing their whips and encourage me to join, I'm like, oh. And then I went and it was sick, and just taking off steep lifts, I'm way more used to it now.
Yeah, and it's just, like you say, it's just practice, right? And that's dragging you into doing more and more laps.
With jumps, if they are well built, it's the easiest thing in the world. You just need the right speed and go off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's often the way. Huh? It's like in your head, it's the worst thing ever, and then you do it, and you're like, well, what was I worried about?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's more if on a racetrack, sometimes you have like natural gaps somewhere. Yeah, and these are actually more the problem. You have to, or like blind gaps or stuff like that. But, that's not a problem anymore. Jumping. Nice repetition.
So you mentioned New Zealand, and 23, I think, was the move to the new version of the V10, and you spent some time down in Australia and New Zealand getting used to it. How was it like getting up to speed on a bike that's kind of like the same but quite different? Yeah, I'm pretty sick that the team pulled the trigger and got us all to New Zealand and Australia, and we spent really good days on the bike working properly already in January in the season. It didn't take me long to get used to the bike. It was kind of the same but just better. So we put the data on, collected a lot of data, tried a lot of different things because you could adjust a lot of things on the bike, and just to work out the perfect setting for certain tracks. We went on 3 different tracks, all were different kind of style. Okay. And then even ended up
doing the race in third bow, so we tested it under race conditions. Pretty sick to have had this opportunity. And
and while you were there, you filmed the like road rules series for Santa Cruz, which looked like a lot of fun. But I guess there's like that balance of training and work and the media commitments as well with Santa Cruz are quite high, I guess, compared to some teams. How do you balance all that? Because I mean, clearly you're having a lot of fun, but you've got a season coming up as well.
It's good you're talking about, or you're bringing this up, because this whole New Zealand trip was obviously fun and was cool, but it's also a really important time of the year. January, February, you want to train properly, and I usually spent that time at home being on my turbo trainer, cracking intervals and stuff. And now I was in New Zealand just lapping, and it felt so different. So I got in a few conversations with the team at some point where I was like, I need a gym now. And not tomorrow, now. I can't do a week without gym. So, I mean, obviously intervals you can do wherever on your bike, but gym was a bit of a thing. So I kind of brought up a rule, 2 times gym please per week.
Okay,
then
so
Nina's
they just need
happy.
to find accommodation that's near a gym.
Exactly. And just to get a few things going. And then we done our downhill days, and then obviously then you're quite cooked after doing 2 days with time legs from full runs, but you're trying to get in gym and intervals in, and it was a bit hard. But at the same time, as I said before, I think bike skill is my weakness point, and so I need to focus more on that. But I really love structured training, and I really love to do the numbers that are on my schedule, and do the numbers that I need to do in the gym, and just
I guess it's a confidence thing as well, right? You know, it's very measurable. Like, I can lift this, I can do that. Like,
if I snatch 60 kilos, I'm stoked, and this is gonna make me feel good on the bike.
But irrespective of whether you need that strength, knowing you can do it is like.
But it's also a me thing. So
okay,
some people are different. Like Jackson is absolutely not caring about any numbers in the gym. Absolutely not at all. So, but I'm just different. But I would probably sacrifice a riding session if I get a good gym session instead of it.
Really?
Yeah, maybe that's where I'm coming from, and
that track and field background still kind of strong there.
I think, and I'm just so used to, like in track and field, we used to train like 10, 11 sessions a week, always morning, afternoon, and loads of gym stuff and all sorts. So, well, I just love it. But to be fair, I love any kind of sports. You can almost give me everything, and I love it.
Yeah, just like being active.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you feel coming into the 2023 season then? You spent a little bit of time on the team. You got to know everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never had an off season like that with so much bike time. Yeah. And this just made me so confident coming into it. I knew it kind of ticked all the boxes, done everything I could have done, and then let's see what it's worth. Yeah.
And we started off in Lenzerheide.
Yeah.
Didn't quite go.
No. I mean, the result with the third place was good in the end.
Incredible considering,
I had a knee injury in my, was it like 4th, 5th training run on the day before. I kind of overbent my knee and twisted it somehow, and we weren't sure if I done proper damage to it or not, because it was not too painful, not too swollen, but I still couldn't like really step on it, and felt really unstable. And we couldn't get an MRI quick enough. Obviously on that day I was calling MRI places, and they were like, no way you get an MRI today. I'm like, okay. So luckily I think a mechanic of the Athertons or someone, he had a knee brace, and I put this knee brace on the next morning. We're like, we're racing.
Sweet, it made that much difference.
So, absolutely. It was. I actually heard it on qualifying day, because I just broke the beam and qualified in semis.
Okay,
true.
Yeah.
And then we weren't sure if I can race, and I done 2 practice laps in the morning. I could feel that there was a left side off camber on top, and I was really hesitating on that one because
it was
the left leg. And that's where I lost the race. That split.
Really?
I was 0.7 off the win, I think. It was nothing.
Wild.
And I lost it in the second sector. Rachel was nailing that sector, and I almost lost a second and a half or 2 in that sector.
Whoa.
I think that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
And I was like, But I was stoked about the 3rd place with this injury and stuff. And I kind of carried this injury through the season a little bit.
Yeah.
Till, was it Leger or something?
So it didn't need an operation or anything. It was just a healing thing.
I was a bit like, should I get it checked or not? It gets better every day, and maybe if I do an MRI now, it's gonna tell me it's fucked. I'm not gonna race, but it works, and that's a fine line.
Yeah,
I got it checked after the season, then actually, and it was all good.
Okay,
because it was still painful slightly after the season, but I got the result of the MRI. It told me everything is good. Then I started, because I couldn't go into full range of motion, and so I started working into my full range of motion. 3 weeks later, pain was gone.
Amazing.
But it's crazy what's in your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I was always trying to avoid certain movements, not to go into certain positions to save the knee, because I wasn't sure if it's all good.
Yeah.
It was fine on the bike, but especially off the bike. And as soon as I knew everything was good, I was working into the pain, because I knew this is not pain that's going to cause damage.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, we were good.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, unlock that bit of your brain that was protecting it, maybe, and away you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I was like, maybe I should have checked it a few weeks after. Then I would have, but maybe then the MRI would have shown there is something. Maybe it just healed over the weeks. It was 3 months later.
Yeah.
So an injury heals in 3 months, doesn't it? So
can do, for sure. Yeah,
if it's not a major one. And I knew it's not a major injury, because then I could have not raced.
Yeah.
So
fair.
Anyway, just little things, annoying.
It is annoying, isn't it? So 23 World Champs was going to be in Fort William. You'd had the win there the year before. Is it fair to say you focused that season, or like your prime focus was World Champs?
Yeah. And I kind of said it. I was like, I want to win World Championship in Fort William. That is my track.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. I want to win this race. And it was the first time I was saying I want to win something, because I'm always a person who's kind of keeping expectations low and saying like, oh, well, we're trying to do our best and we see what's going to come, just to take the pressure off my shoulders, because I know how competitive I am and I know that I want to win.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I was actually stepping out and saying like, I want to win this race. And even worse, that I crashed in my 4th practice run. Pretty gnarly.
It was a big crash, eh?
Yeah, it just slipped out of my click. I just got pinged out of my click on the rocks before. Well, and then the thing with that crash, which was making my head, was I'd obviously crashed on my head. My helmet was broken. Not that I lost consciousness or something, but I was for 5 minutes kind of disorientated and a bit like in space, but not on Earth. But I felt all fine afterwards. I felt all fine rolling down trackside, and we done this concussion test and it was all good compared to my baseline. And I did not show any symptoms, but at the same time, because I had quite a gnarly concussion in 21, which kind of nobody knows about, because it was in the off season on my trail bike, and I was in the hospital for a night and I couldn't remember stuff for 3 days. So the doctor was coming in telling me something, and as soon as he walked out of the door, I didn't know what he had said. I kind of lost my last half year. It came back like step by step, and then I only was missing the day of the crash. But that concussion took me about 6 weeks to get back to normal, and felt like you can break any bone, the doctor's gonna fix it, or any ligament or whatever.
But not your head.
When you do your head, we don't know anything about our brain yet. Compared to other stuff, and you're gonna be if you fuck your head. So that's why I was really concerned about second impact syndrome and stuff like that. Should I go riding again or not? And I was kind of scared going riding again, but I didn't know if that is because I hit my head or because I had a crash and it knocked my confidence. And to working out this difference between, is it just a lack of confidence or are you concussed? It was freaking me out.
It's a hell of a situation to be in, a race where you've put, I guess, a lot of pressure on yourself.
You want to be world champion. You know you can do well on this track. And at the same time, you don't want to risk your health. So, I had long conversations with Steve, with Ethan, with everyone in the team. Should I race? Should I not? And we kind of broke it down to you're just not confident.
Yeah.
It's not a concussion. We done all the tests. Your memory's fine. Your balance is fine. Your eye movements is fine. You don't have headache. You're not dizzy. You're not vomiting or anything. So yeah, I cracked on and tried. But it's insane how much a crash like that, especially, but it's also a symptom of like crashing on your head. It's just draining the batteries. It's taking a lot of energy away.
And the stress that you've been through with all of that thought
Just
process.
mentally, yeah. The sleep was obviously not the greatest.
Yeah.
I slept quite good for having just fallen on my head, but still my energy levels were just too low to do a good full run. So my splits were about all right in my race run, and then it just crashed because I literally had no power anymore in this corner where I crashed. I came off the drop and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it was over, wasn't it, at that point?
But it still felt like a win because I made it to the finish line.
Good.
To the start line. I made it to the finish as well, but it was kind of the goal to make it to the start line on race day, and I made it, and that felt like a win. So.
Good. I'm glad you feel that way. And I mean, looking back on that season, you took a win in Andorra.
Yeah, that was afterwards.
Think finished second in the overall that year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you've got to be pretty stoked with that.
Absolutely. Especially with having this season now. I'm stoked about the results actually from last year. Appreciate them a bit more now. Because it still last year felt like a good season, but I always want more.
Of course, you're an athlete, right? That's
and it felt like, well, didn't get a good result at Worlds. Okay, got one win, got another few podiums, got second in the overall. Some people were stoked, but I wasn't stoked about the season.
Really?
To be honest, I was not satisfied. Nah.
Can you find satisfaction after the moment, or do you still not feel a satisfaction with that?
I feel satisfaction right now.
Okay.
About last season.
Okay, good.
Because this season's not going well, and I know how not well a season can go now.
Okay, right, yeah, you've seen, I guess
I'm not that long in the sport, and it always went better and better and better. And 21 was one season that was not good, but that was because of injuries. And I had an injury this season as well, which is a problem that I'm not making it an injury for my head, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the reason why I wasn't that satisfied about last season was I wasn't satisfied with my riding. I felt like I got more lucky getting the second place in the overall. Kami got injured.
Okay.
Marine was not on pace in the first half of the season and kind of helped me a bit with that. So I felt like I could have even done better in my riding, and then maybe could have fought even Vali's first place.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't satisfied, I think. Well, so like I felt like this second place was kind of more given to me than I actually worked hard for it. But maybe it's also me always trying to be better and being a bit.
You're all like that. Every athlete is always looking for like reasons why they could do better. You know what I mean? They're always judging it in that way.
I mean, I don't know how that would be. I've never won a world championship or overall, but maybe I would still be winning an overall and still saying like, well, it was good, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you hear it from a lot, even that like something they've been fighting for their whole life, and then they get it and it still doesn't satisfy for some reason. It's a tricky one, eh? Yeah, it's also good because it keeps you moving, it keeps you motivated, and makes you work. And I think also outside of racing, I'm like that. I might be satisfied about things I've done in the past, but I wasn't satisfied about this in the situation, maybe. Yeah. Because I still could have done it any better or different or whatever. I'm always looking for doing stuff better, which is a problem sometimes. It's just not saying that it's always good. Yeah, fair. I want to talk a little bit about BOA because it's an unusual sponsor that you and Luca have, a little bit different. So they make, for people that don't know, they make these little dials that tension your shoes with like a little cable rather than using shoelaces. And I was wondering if your signing for them was related to your shoe issue back in Andorra. Just remind people if they've forgotten that, like what went on. So you'd qualified fastest, right? I qualified fastest, went off obviously last woman down the track, had a really sketchy run until it all ended in a crash. I mean, this run must have ended in a crash. It was so on the limit. But that crash caused my foot to slip out of my shoe.
And then I was like, no way, is that actually happened right now? Well, okay, you need to carry on. So my foot was still at the bottom of the pedal. I was on my sock on the pedal. Went down the last, it was almost at the finish. So I went down the last sections, crossed the finish line. And I needed to show everyone I was riding on my socks. So I put my foot above my handlebars. But I absolutely forgot that you need to take your foot down at some point. So when I tried to take it down, I was slamming it on the handlebars and I had a Yuji in the finish.
It was brilliant. Absolutely hilarious to watch, to be fair.
But yeah, that was shoes with only laces.
There you go.
There was no strap above, there was no boa, anything. Yeah. And that kind of made me decide you're never ever going to run only laces again.
Yeah.
You need at least a strap or something like boa.
Yes, something to hold them on, yeah. So did boa come to you? Did you go to them? Like, how did you guys end up working together?
Yeah, so Fox started to doing their shoes 2 years ago,
yeah.
The union. And they started to do a boa shoe because they're doing high spec products. So they need a high spec partner, don't they? And they knew, so Fox knew I'm stoked about boa and I only wanted to run the boa shoes anyways.
Yeah.
And so boa found out and they actually came to me through Fox
nice.
Last year.
Yeah.
And wanted to get, beside Luca, a female rider. And I was stoked about that because I loved the system. I loved it before already, before they sponsored me. And I kind of included it already last year into my race routine, just tighten the boa.
Really?
It's just these clicks, isn't it? So like, it's nice to have like a audio, like a sound or something. So for me, turning on my GoPro is one thing, and tightening the boa, just have another click. Okay, it's tight. And then also shoes and gloves are the 2 points you're connected to your bike, and this needs to be solid and tight. So I always push my gloves back, tighten my boa, turn the GoPro on, then I'm good to go.
That's your like start routine.
That's my start before my race.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, even in practice runs now, because the last practice runs towards a timed run are getting kind of serious. And when I get nervous, I always do these things like, okay, I can go now.
That's your like signal to your body that you're ready to go.
Especially tighten the shoes. It's almost like, I know they are tight, but no, another click.
Yeah, are you fussy about, because you've got on the union boas, there's like the two boas, so you can really adjust the fit. Like, are you fussy with how you get it dialed in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not tightening them too much when I leave the pits because it's going to restrict blood flow, and if you're on the lift, easy now. But then before the run, always get them a bit tighter.
Yeah.
And
do you feel it's giving you a better connection to the bike?
Absolutely.
Like a better fit?
Yeah. It's just you're one with the shoe, and so you're one with the bike. Same with the gloves.
Yeah.
And just needs to be. I run extra small gloves. They can barely fit on my hands. And when I'm sweaty doing my warm up, and then I have to put my gloves on. Ethan is always joking. Why are you running such tight gloves? I'm like, they have to be as tight as possible.
Are they a fresh pair?
Yeah, I always put a fresh pair on for race run. Yeah. Not for training.
Because over time they sort of stretch a bit. They come back when you wash them, but
they come back when you wash them for a run or two.
Yeah.
Today I put kind of loose ones on, or like worn ones.
Yeah.
Because I hate going through a lot of stuff, so I'm trying to keep my used gloves for the next races.
Yeah.
But always a fresh set for race run.
Fair. Ever had any issues with the boas? I speak to people, and some people are kind of worried about. People don't like things that are like not what they're familiar with, I guess. But have you ever had any issues?
What are people complaining about?
Well, I don't know. They've got a lifetime warranty as well, I think. So
yeah. So first, I'm a pretty lazy person, so boa is just perfect for me, and I just like the way it tightens and how easy it is. And I had it once that I was clipping my shoe on a rock or something.
Yeah.
And the boa came off, but it stayed tight.
Okay.
So that was sick, and you can just click it back in.
Yeah. So the actual dial, like.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So it rips off.
Yeah.
But it doesn't break.
It doesn't break.
You can just click it back in.
Oh, no, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's clever.
So I've never, cross fingers, I've never broken one so far.
Yeah.
Obviously it can happen, but yeah, it's just so easy forward, isn't it?
Stress-free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy days.
Also stress-free cleaning, no? If you have like laces and they're muddy, like now. And they're not going to dry forever and all that stuff.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. They're a lot easier to clean and easier to get off when they're muddy and wet as well.
And then now I've got like from Bo, I got like trail shoes and everything now, and it's just so easy for everything.
No more tying laces. Happy days. So let's talk a bit about 2024. Less change, I guess. The bike was the same as last year. I guess the biggest change for the team is Greg stepping away.
Oh yeah.
Was that a change that impacted you in any way, or?
It's funny because it hasn't been kind of changes from 23 to 24, but has been changes.
Okay.
So Greg stepping out of the game, a big mentor role, a big person is gone from the team. Jackson injured.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
He was bringing the vibes. He was one of.
Although he has turned up to a few rounds.
That was really good.
To put a bit of vibe
fun.
in the pits. Yeah.
And then Laurie is kind of fighting some health issues since last season, went all through the winter and also beginning of the season. He's pretty good right now.
Yes.
But that kind of didn't help the vibe as well. I'm so glad we got Ollie. He's such a good lad, and he's definitely filling the spot. But so it's been a bit less buddies in the pits. It's been a bit more calm, a bit more quiet here and there. So I mean, the first races went well for me.
I was going to say second, Fort William, third in Poland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the second in Fort William was only 0.5 off the win, and I was like, I lost it all at the bottom. It was, I think Sven Martin was saying it was the first time that someone won Sector 2 in Fort William but did not win the race.
Really?
And I don't know if that was a good or bad thing.
Interesting.
So usually when you win Sector 2 in Fort William, you won the race.
Yeah.
But I made a little mistake at the bottom. And also, I mean, all know that flight attendant and stuff, what Wally has got. I don't know what she exactly did in the end, but I did a mistake there down too, so that's on my shoulders.
Okay.
If I would have not done this mistake, it would have been tighter.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I wasn't too gutted about it at this point. I'm really gutted right now because that would have made the season a bit nicer to have a win in the pocket.
Yeah, okay. But a good start to know that you're on pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming out of the winter, things are working. But you've picked up, do we call it an injury, a niggle? How do we talk about the elbow?
To be honest, it's been quite a big injury in the end. I mean, I dislocated my elbow and damaged quite a few ligaments, nerves, muscles, capsule, all that stuff. But so maybe for everyone, I dislocated this elbow in 2017.
I was going to say, have you done that one before?
Yeah, that was my first big injury I had with mountain biking. So it was kind of pre-injured, and I think this is why it popped out a bit easier.
Yeah, so slacker ligaments.
Yeah, but it's also why it popped back in easy. So we pulled it like on the evening, we just pulled it straight back in. Yeah. So that was nice. And there was nothing fully torn, so only partially torn. And like, it was funny because I've received the MRI result. I just got it right 2 days later, and I got the results. And I was reading through it and I was like, yes, nothing fully torn. Went to my doctor, she looked at it, and she's new now. So I worked with another guy, and she's kind of new, and she doesn't know me too much. And she was looking through the MRI and just seen, like, reading in another lane. Was like, her eyes just getting bigger and bigger, and like, oh. I was like, isn't it good? And she's like, no, it's not. And the best thing was, that was about 2 weeks before. We only had 2.5 weeks to Leogang. And I said, I want to race with Leogang, and I think we can make it work.
Yeah.
And she was like, that was on a Friday. It was exactly 2 weeks before the first training in Leogang. And she was like, okay, good. You get a brace now, you get physio. I was my physio already for days. Yeah. And then said like, and we're going to see, you're going to come back in 2 weeks, and then we see how much range of motion you're going to get back and how much we can put weight on the elbow. And I'm like, 2 weeks? I'm going to be in Leogang racing in 2 weeks. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am.
You don't know me well yet, do you?
And then we had a good discussion about it later. And then we were saying like, I come back next week and then we have a look and then we go step by step. So not saying that I'm not hearing what my doctor is saying.
Yeah. But they always err on the side of caution. I think you have to push them a little bit.
She's a sports medicine, but she's just started. So I think she hasn't worked with a real athlete yet.
Yeah, fair.
So I don't know. But yeah, in the end, I tried the reason why I tried to make Leogang work, obviously it would have been good for the elbow just to sit Leogang and Valisola out and rest completely. But I was 4th in the overall, pretty close to 1st. Everything was real tight, and I felt like if I can just get a few points, maybe like a 6th, 7th place in both races, I'm gonna get a few points, and then I'm still up for a top 3 overall.
Yeah.
So that was the goal, and maybe even one. I mean, you don't know what the other girls are gonna do. So that's why I pushed to make it work. And at the same time, what I have to say, I'm a person, I'm listening a lot to my body, and as soon as I get pain somewhere, I'm stopping. And honestly, I had no pain in Leogang. I was not on painkillers. The elbow got swollen a little bit, and it did hurt a little bit in the evening, and it got a bit more blue and a bit more, obviously, an injury, that's 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. But I was kind of pain-free. And
that's pretty amazing.
That's why I carried on.
Yeah.
Because I think my body's going to tell me when I have to stop.
Yeah.
And my only problem was weakness. I had no strength in my arm.
Yeah,
Obviously, doing 2 weeks nothing with this, or not much with this arm. I was struggling with strength, and then the rain was coming in for race day in Leogang. That made me struggle a lot with the injury. Then the injury came into play a little bit. I was obviously not that confident. And yeah, Valisola was another tough one with the conditions. That was actually tough because there was this one rock section, and probably nobody knows because you're not trackside, but I didn't rode this rock section until race day. I always pushed around because I was scared of it.
Really?
With the elbow, yeah.
Whoa.
But the conditions got better for race day, a bit drier, and then I've kicked my ass in the morning saying like, Nina Hoffmann, you're not gonna race if you're not gonna ride this section. And then I rode it twice in the morning and then once in race run. That's it.
Good work.
Yeah.
So how has the elbow been then through the season? Like, where are we at with it?
Yeah. I would say it kind of restricted me in Leger a little bit still. And then we had this long break, but I carried on doing Whistler, doing European champs, doing German champs. I would say Whistler, after the race, I took the brace off for the first time. I was always riding with a brace. And from there on, it kind of felt like the injury is gone now.
Okay, that's good.
And in Chambéry for European champ was the first race without brace. It felt like it's almost back to 100% strength.
Yeah, okay.
And right now, I would say it's not hindering me in any way anymore. It's more like doing stupid stuff like on Tuesday being in the gym with the girls and doing a little boxing session. Well, it did hurt after that.
Oh no.
But
Class.
yeah, that's me.
It's part. You've got to enjoy yourself, right?
I did enjoy it, yeah. Oh, well, but it's all good now. I'm not feeling it on the track, and
is it like
elbow's not a problem.
Has it held you back in training and stuff? Like, where do you feel you're at physically?
So I think physically, I'm on a good level right now.
Okay.
Shoulder, elbow, right arm is about okay. My biceps is still a bit weak, like biceps curls is less good because my biceps tendon got also partially ruptured.
Okay.
So like doing curls was not good and stuff like that. Triceps is about okay, so that's the more important one.
Yeah.
But what the funny thing is with this injury, I kind of try to push it away off my head. It was like, come on, it's just a little one. I raced Leogang, everything. I was back so quick and it should be all good. But I kind of forgot how it did knock my confidence, obviously. That's the next thing. The women's racing at the moment is so tight. Everyone is healthy. No one is injured. Everyone is on a good level, or almost everyone is on their good, perfect level speeds. And that just, to compete on that level in the top spots, I would have needed a injury-free season, I think.
Okay.
Just to build.
Yeah.
But yeah, there had just been too much problems around with that elbow injury, which I tried to not accept and just push away from myself.
I was going to say, can you able to make peace with that and accept that you're not this year not going to be where you want to be? Like, it must be hard going through the motions and racing, sort of knowing that you're not able to give the best that you on a good season can do.
The thing is, it's hard to make peace with that because I feel like I have the speed. Even right now, I have the speed, and I can ride a top 3 speed at the moment. I just need to get it, like to switch it on again. And I don't want to. I hate when people are coming up with excuses, and I don't want this elbow injury to be an excuse for not being at the top level at the moment. But I think that's my problem, or that was the problem with to accept it. That I have been injured and I have not been on 100%. I try to forget it. Maybe also because the way it happened. It's not happening during racing bikes.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that this is making my head, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, we still have Ludenville. We still have Mount St. Anne. Maybe I get a good result in, but for now, because I'm just putting too much pressure on myself, I said, like, let's see what's going to happen in the last 2 races now. I just want to try to enjoy it again.
Yeah.
And not being too stressed about results anymore. This season is kind of almost over now, and you have bad seasons as well.
For sure, everybody does.
I just don't want to accept it. I would love to be on the top spot all the time.
Of course.
On the top pace.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. So obviously Andorra was a tough weekend, I think, fair to say.
It was kind of like first day practice went pretty well. I felt like I need to stop riding now because I'm already going too quick.
Okay.
And you need to go fast in 3 days and not 2 days.
Yeah.
And then this rain changed the track a little bit, and on quali's day, I just didn't feel it on quali's day. Already in practice, I was like, oh, something is weird. I'm not getting the ruts good. I'm not carrying the speed. And then I done a pretty safe quali's run, which I was thinking is going to be enough for top 5.
Yeah.
I came down and was 10th, and I was like, okay, that's a different pace. And I was like 8-9 seconds back, and that really stressed me.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never slept that bad. I couldn't fall asleep at night.
Just thinking about what you had to do.
That never happened because normally I'm pretty good and I'm fine, and I find reasons for things and I can talk myself out of it and I'm all good. And this was the first time it was making my head. And so I had the worst night ever. Woke up next morning and we actually wanted to use this extra day of practice to like 4 or 5 runs and push to get to the speed. And I woke up with like 2-3 hours sleep and I'm like, no way I can race my bike today. It's going to be dangerous. But somehow turned it around.
Okay, good.
Got a Red Bull in the morning. Made the job. Had a good chat with Ethan, with Steve and everything. And we said like, oh, let's try it. Let's do 2-3 runs and then we'll see. I ended up doing 4 runs and 2 full runs.
Oh, nice.
So I was pretty stoked on that.
Yeah.
And timed my GoPro, like with the thing, and my full run was only a second of Miriam's time from the day before.
Ah, sweet.
So that kind of gave me confidence again. Okay, you haven't lost your speed.
Yeah, it's there.
You haven't lost it. And then race day morning was good, these 2 laps. And then race 1 was just not good.
Was it, what was wrong with it? Like
everything. So before qualis, I was really nervous. Ethan could tell I'm more nervous than usual and everything was a bit like, oh. But then for race day, everything went perfect. I was nervous, but not too nervous. We were in a good shape. We were doing our warm-up and everything went to plan. Took off, got the first chicane pretty good, and then in the first left-hander I had a little slide, and then the next big right-hander I had another big slide. And then it carried on the next big left, the next 2 big turns, had another few like drifts, and that's what I need to work on. Just completely knocked my confidence in that run. Also felt like subjective. I lost so much speed now. You need a perfect run to win world championships. Okay. That's it, done.
Yeah, why take the risk because I'm not going to win now? Yeah.
I tried to tell myself, I actually told after this big right-hander coming into the first tech section, I was like, Nina, come on, the tech's coming now. You can ride that, you can still get a good position. But I just couldn't find it to run. I was starting to do a mistake of just little ones, not hitting the line perfectly and then you're a bit more like safety braking everywhere. And then from halfway on down where you have the speed trap of the fast straight, I was so scared on this fast straight. Where I was in practice run before, I was frothing. I was like, yes, that's so sick. I almost forgot to stop in my last practice run because I was on a heater and just enjoying it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find this feeling in my race run.
It's mad, isn't it, how your headspace can move so much.
And I think I would have needed that headspace to make the 4.5 seconds on Valley to win the race. I don't know if I could have made it. I could definitely made 3 seconds. Don't know if I could have made 4.5. But, well, I wanted to, that was the point. I wanted to do all-in run, either a crash or it's good.
Yeah.
I want a world champions run.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I probably would have been fine with a crash.
Yeah.
But just ended up to do another safe run, and that was just enough for a 10th, which hurt as well.
I can imagine. It's crazy tight, isn't it? Like the depth in the women's field now is
the
insane.
Next thing is, I mean, let's see how Lunenville here develops and if it's getting more dry. But Andorra is no tech at all. There's nothing in the track. You're literally only maybe the rock garden is a little bit tech, but you're literally flat out off the brakes all the time. You don't really need crazy skill for it.
Yeah.
So I think this is you can see this on tracks that are easy and not technical. We are closer to the men's times as well, and the women's fields get tighter.
Okay.
As soon as it gets more tech, Val di Sole, big. I think I was 12 seconds behind the winning time, and Val di Sole got 6th.
Okay. Yeah. Very.
And
different.
now I'm 4.5 back, and I got 10th.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also shows that women's fields just got more stacked and pretty competitive, and
which is cool. But
it sucks to be tense, but actually it's cool.
yeah. Trying to appreciate.
Yeah, and seeing the young girl, there was an Australian girl who just beat me. She got 9th, and that was sick.
Was that Ellie MC?
Exactly. Yeah. Sick.
So you've gotten Gracie back and putting in a good 4th. Yeah.
Lisa Baumann was really good as well.
She seems to be on an upwards climb.
Yeah, and then I mean all the top dogs. Anyway, so
it's wild, but it doesn't make your job easier. But I guess when the win comes and the podiums come, they're going to be even more fulfilling, hopefully.
I said to Steve after the race, I mean, no, Ethan was saying, because Steve only won his first World Champs title after 17 years racing or something.
Yeah, 15 years ago today.
Mad time in the end.
Yeah.
And Ethan was like, and you are getting annoyed with not winning worlds after 2-3 years. I'm like, okay, sorry. And then I said, okay, the more I lose the world championship, the better it's gonna taste if I'm gonna win it at some point.
There you go.
If so.
It's a good way to look at it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the next thing I wanted to say. I think this year's world championship, so fair play Vali that she got it together. I think it's worth a lot, because all girls are healthy right now and it's so competitive.
Yeah.
So you're definitely the fastest woman on the planet right now.
No one's not there. Yeah.
It's not like, say, my second place in 2019 in Leogang. There was only Rachel and Tracy. The rest was injured of the top girls.
Yeah.
Miriam, Tani, I don't know who else was there, but all these girls were injured. This is why I got second, but this helped me become second. But at the moment, you're definitely the fastest woman.
Yes, that is a good way to look at it. And so obviously there's a lot going on in your head and everyone's heads, right? Yeah. And you studied psychology.
Yes. Yes, I did. Finished it last year.
Yeah, congratulations, because that's a lot of work to do alongside a career as an athlete as well. Your master's thesis sounded interesting. So the optimal race run, audio hypnosis as effective mental training for downhill mountain bike athletes. Oh, is the title.
You found it.
Yeah, pretty cool. Tell us about that.
So I had a course in university about hypnosis a few years ago, and it got me. I found it because my mentor who was doing this course, my lecturer, she was really good. She'd done a lot of practical work with us in this course, and we really experienced it. And straight away, I felt like that's a sick tool to help you race on race day and to help you perform under pressure. And so my idea came up, and I went to her asking, do you think I could do my master thesis with you about something about racing and hypnosis and stuff? And she was pretty cool and open. She was like, oh, of course you can. Whatever you like to do, just do it.
Yeah.
Ended up been a big work because everything was on my shoulders. I'd done everything myself, all the studies, and I could have made my life easier with just writing something simple. But no, it was really cool. So we developed together audio hypnosis that people can, sorry, it's in German, but that people can listen to. We were thinking of doing an English version actually, but
I would love an English translated version of that at some point. If
I
you
need
ever
to
do,
dig more
let
in
me know.
in that again. Yeah. So what we've been doing, so what you do with hypnosis. So I mean, a lot of people know meditation, don't they?
Yeah.
And I would say it's kind of similar, but more active. So first you relax a lot and you try to get in this meditative, relaxed mindset where you kind of, sometimes I experience like an out-of-body experience and stuff like that, and you're kind of here but not here. And if you're in that relaxed state, you can start working.
Okay.
And then, so I brought these people in this audio hypnosis into this relaxed state. And from there on, we've been working through the optimal race day, but backwards. So we started with the feeling that's coming when you cross the finish line and you have an optimal race. Everything went to plan. You hit every line. You were on a heater, flow everywhere, and you're just frothing and loving life and proud of yourself. And just when this feeling comes up to your chest, to wherever it goes to, we evolve or we develop this feeling so that they can really, know how this feels, and trying to go backwards through the run, through the start to an hour before the start. And whenever you get nervous, just think of that feeling, think why you're doing that, think you're just here because of that feeling and because this is what makes you happy, and this is what is driving you, this is why you're training. This is why all the people are here, they want to watch you race and just enjoy it. Why making your life hard with stressing? And also trying to get a different appraisal of things. So if the nerves are coming up, don't say like, oh no, I'm not nervous, I'm nervous again, I'm gonna fuck up this, that, whatever. No, these nerves are good because they show your body you're ready. You're ready to go, and it helps you raise your blood flow, get your attention ready, get your focus, everything to experience later this kind of nice feeling of like proud and everything. So we kind of like, this is in a short term how we went through the hypnosis. And at the end we put a trigger, like something you use to get this feeling while you're not in hypnosis. Okay,
to bring yourself back to that
exactly.
state kind of thing.
So you listen to this hypnosis a day before, 2 days before. You can listen to it multiple times. So how often you think you need it, and then this trigger is gonna help you evolve these feelings on race day. And I try to tell them to do it in the last 5 minutes before you run, because this is when the nerves are the worst. And when you're about to freak out. And so everyone had a personal trigger, so I didn't want to, I gave them some suggestions, but I didn't want to give one thing that you have to do, because it needs to be your own thing. Like people were saying, like pedaling backwards was a big thing, pulling the levers on the handlebars, slamming on the chest, saying certain words. One had a necklace and was touching it. And what was really cool, so first we did like obviously questionnaires, and we did heart rate variability measurements an hour before the race. So this is, I say like an hour before the race, you should be still in a kind of calm state and relaxed. It's just before they started their warm-up, so you're still like, you should chill, literally. And in the questionnaires, we could show that the people were less anxious and slightly more confident. Especially the women. I only had 5 women. That's not enough for a single statistic work, but I could see it in a empirical way. But that was sick to see. And also heart rate variability, there were 2 variables that kind of show that people are a bit more relaxed.
That's great.
Before the run. And then I had also phone interviews with all of the participants, and they were all saying, everyone is actually saying it helped them. It was nice to have a tool to know what they can do on race day now.
Okay.
And a few were actually saying, oh, I have my A levels in a few months. I'm going to use that for my A levels now.
Amazing.
So transferring it to different situations where you have to perform under pressure.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see how it all worked out.
That's brilliant to be able to link your study so strongly to your sport as well.
Exactly.
Like,
It was passion, and it was sick to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's also sick. It was really hard to do these studies. I mean, it's a field study. You're out on a race. Like, it's obviously, and this is a bit of a problem with all the results. We only had 19 participants in the end,
Okay.
and obviously a lot of variables still going in. The 2 races, we had 2 races. So I tested it first race.
Yeah.
A week later was the second race, and I tested it both of them. And obviously there's loads of things still going in, but that's also the sick thing if you do field studies and you get, even if it were just like small effects, they are probably going to be even bigger if you do them in the laboratory.
Yeah, totally.
So it's pretty how you say, ecological valid, the study. Yeah.
Happy days. That's really exciting to be able to finish off all that study as well with something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to continue doing stuff like that.
Okay.
And probably gonna do a PhD.
I
I'm a
know.
doctor. Yeah.
Alongside the racing still.
Yeah. I did quite a lot of work till May, stopped it now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna carry on in October.
Yeah.
But want to focus on, because what I saw in my studies is that the women were way more anxious than the men's, way less self-confident. And this is obviously, self-confidence is one of the biggest factors affecting your race performance.
Yeah.
So I want to dig into this field a bit more, into female in extreme sports or high risk sports, and the mental side of it, and compare them to the boys. And
That'd be really interesting.
so that's not, I want to go a bit broader, not only do downhill mountain biking, get a few more sports in, but specifically high risk sports, because I feel like the mental side, and I'm not talking about competitive anxiety. I'm more talking about overcoming anxiety. I have to do a big jump. I have to do a gnarly tech section. If I talk about mountain biking, like overcoming these kind of fears, and how. So my rough plan is like showing that there is a difference between man and woman. You can't really find a lot of studies focusing on high risk sports and man and woman on the psychological side.
No, fair.
Maybe do a few interviews with a few women to dig even deeper. Where are these anxieties coming from?
Yeah.
Where do they stem from? And then how, if I know where they stem from, how can I work on that, change it, bring up an intervention, probably a hypnosis intervention again, to help to deal with anxiety in high-risk sports for especially female athletes, but probably for male as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So that's the big idea. Let's see when we get it done.
I was going to say, but Syndicate are doing your washing for you, so you've got plenty of time, right?
That's what I meant with I have a lot of time now. I can focus on other stuff and do things like that.
And does that help? Do you feel like you want something alongside the racing?
I absolutely need something along racing. My head is getting bored on race weekends, and I need something else. And also, I don't like only holding onto a plan A and only having this one. I mean, people like some people say like they like it and they want to put everything into this, but I feel like I have still resources left I want to put into something else, and that is at the moment this also a few side projects with like Junior Works, Trail Center at home, and little things like that. But I'm more than just a racer. That's what I want to be and want to show everyone. And downhill mountain biking and racing is a big part of my life right now, but there's a life after that, and there's also a not racing Nina. And that's why I want to work on that stuff, just to make the world a better place, actually.
Very nice, mate. Very nice. And obviously you use a lot of these techniques yourself, I guess. Yeah,
more and more and more.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty good at meditating, getting myself into this hypnosis state right now. And for example, Val di Sole was a big thing. I started to put down like 2-3 key points after each race, and one from Val di Sole was meditation is helping.
Okay.
So I did an hour actually before race day after qualifying in the evening.
Yeah.
Just getting into my meditative state and then
Fair
going through race day and I was writing in my head the section I was always scared of. Like I had adrenaline while going through it. Like I could feel my heart starting to race when I came up, and I just done it that many times until my heart wasn't racing anymore, until I felt like I'm not getting this intention, I want to break. And when I was at this point, I knew I can ride it the next day. And it's kind of, I mean, some people just turn off their heads and do it, but I feel like I need this. I need to go through it mentally, and it makes me feel safer for race day, and it kind of gives me safe reputations of stuff.
Yeah.
Without any risk.
A lot of science around, like you can train the body without doing the activity.
Yeah, your
by
motor
using your
cortex
brain.
is turned on while you're thinking of stuff and visualizing stuff. And you can say like, okay, close my eyes and then visualize the track. Right. But if you are able to get into this meditative state before, into this hypnotic state, into this trance, then you're even more able to visualize things more like live. And
it's more power, like more visceral maybe, is that the right word? I'm not sure.
Is it like vibe or like more
feels more real?
Just as you're living the situation, and you can train this.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't good at this 3 years ago. I was closing my eyes and then my thoughts are drifting somewhere.
Yeah.
It still happens sometimes, that definitely. And I have good days and bad days, but the more you do it, the better it gets. And also sometimes it's just nice. Andorra actually, after first day practice, Nina Hoffmann frothing as hell after practice runs, running around like a maniac in the pits. Okay, Nina, calm down now, because this is only first day practice and preserve your energy. I was laying down in the pits in the truck, headphones on, something above my head, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Calming down. That was actually just relaxation. I didn't try to focus on anything or something, just relaxation. Made me feel so much better.
Fascinating. How would you describe your meditation practice? Are you using a mantra? Like, how are you getting yourself into that state?
I always start with focusing on a point, which is kind of in my natural way of looking.
With your eyes open or closed?
With my eyes open.
Okay.
I always start with my eyes open because I feel like I want to because my eyes starting to close naturally at some point when I'm at the moment to go into the state.
Okay.
But if I close them first or already at the start, I might drift away with my thoughts.
Like unleashes the brain a bit. Yeah, okay.
So it helps me to focus on a point, and then breathing. Breathing is a lot, belly breathing through your nose. Sometimes exhale through your mouth, but inhale through your nose. Because if you exhale really kind of loud through your mouth, it kind of puts all the pressure away.
Okay.
And for example, if you're laying down, if I'm laying down, I'm mostly shutting my eyes a bit earlier. If I'm sitting, it takes mostly a bit longer.
Yeah.
Also depends on if I'm quite tired, I'm going to sit, because otherwise I might fall asleep.
Yeah, that's high risk, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then as soon focusing on this point, and then you kind of tell yourself, okay, your eyelid's gonna get heavy, there's like weights on it, you're gonna sink into the chair or into the bed, just feel like, do a body check, go like from your feet up to your body, make like, say the point through your between your nose is gonna relax, and your jaw is gonna relax, all these things. And as soon as I get this, I tell my body to relax in all these parts, and then my eyes starting to close, and when they close, kind of my inner eyes open, so I kind of see. It's weird, like you close your eyes and it is all black, but you kind of see something in the black. It's like a movie starting.
Yeah.
And that's when you know like you're in a good space now. And then I continue breathing. That's like, the breathing is the most important thing. And then I feel like then it kind of like all my body gets. It depends on how deep I'm getting, but it gets numb, and it feels like my arms are not part of my body anymore and I can't move them right now. But this is when I'm so relaxed, like it feels so nice.
I bet.
And then kind of the movie starts.
Yeah.
And then you have to be active and start doing work, because otherwise you're gonna drift away.
Yeah.
And you might fall asleep, which is also okay. And then it's just relaxation, but
that's when you'll pull in the race run visualization.
This is when I
start doing
exactly.
like, right, let's go to this section and that's incredible. How long do you think you were working at that before you could get into that state?
Do you mean like years? Or
Well, like, yeah, how
or like, do you
long
mean
were
the
you
time
doing?
in the session?
I mean, how many sessions, how long in months or years did it take to be able to get to that point where you could really start to feel that state?
So I think I still could get much better.
Okay.
Definitely. It depends on a person. So in hypnosis, you, what's it in English? Is it suggestible? No.
Yeah, no, I think, whether you're a suggestible, I'm not sure if that's quite right, but
in German. Sorry. So like certain person are more likely to follow a meditation role than others. So there are people that are easy to get into this hypnotic state and other not, just naturally. And I think if you naturally easy to get into a hypnotic state, especially if you have a 1-to-1 setting person, it's one session.
Right, okay.
You can get this feeling in one session if there's a person
like guiding
you, exactly, that's the word. It's much harder when you have to do it yourself. This definitely takes probably like, I don't want to say a number, but probably a year to get used to all that. And I think that the easiest is to work with someone first. Mm-hmm. He guides you or she guides you. And then as soon as you have experience at once and you know where you want to be and how to get to it, and you know what works for you, everyone is different.
Yeah.
Then you can work it out yourself, and then you kind of, what also helps, just record a voice, a message or a memo, and play it yourself. It's a bit weird listening to your own voice.
So having your own hypnosis routine.
If you, as soon as you know what works for you, just do it can be a 10-minute session, which you put on every evening before race night, because that's the point where you're the most nervous or something. Yeah, I did work with Rafaela Richter, German enduro girl.
Okay, yeah.
And we did quite a few hypnosis sessions together, and we recorded the last one actually, which she is still listening to when she gets too nervous.
Amazing.
And what was cool, we were like, she has like several thoughts, problems and stuff. And then you start working with pictures and hypnosis. And she was going, she had like an old house, and she was going up these ladders up to the top floor, and there was a box, and she just put all these thoughts into this box, closing it, and then throwing the key away. So the thoughts are in there for this day now, for the next day. And you can go there the next day after the race and have a look on them.
But not now.
Bring them there, but now they're closed and shut away. And this is her picture, or that was her picture, for example. Or like that was the first thing we did, going onto your safe space. Yeah. Just creating a safe area, a space that can be real, but it can also just be in your imagination, where you feel safe and good.
Fascinating. The mind is a powerful, powerful thing, hey? And we still don't really understand. We're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the more I talk about it, the more I would love to know about it and dig deeper into stuff, and also working with like EEGs or MRI stuff. Because my mentor, she's doing quite a lot of EEG stuff.
So they're watching what's happening to the brain while
brain
they're doing
waves.
Yeah, okay.
And then you have certain brain waves that can tell you which areas of the brain, or on EEG is more like in which mental state your brain is right now. Yeah. Or like you have a visual cue that's come in, your brain should react. And what she did, that's one study she did, she was suggesting these participants that they have just like something before in front of their head, so they can't see. So they were doing, let's say first, that they were doing a test where they have to, I think, decide between triangles and squares or something, like pretty simple. Just press two buttons. And then she was doing the hypnosis, suggesting them they're having a piece of wood in front of their head. And they were missing 40% of the cues.
And there was nothing there.
No, there was nothing there. They were just in hypnosis. Yeah. Seeing this wood and not the screen. And you could, that's what I want to say. You could see it, like once they didn't press the buttons, but you can also see it in EEG. There was no reaction on the cue. Okay. So that's the crazy thing, because a lot about psychology and brain stuff is like, subjective, and you are based on what people report and how they rate it and
Yes.
everything. But I really love the objective side, and I really love MRIs and EEGs and that stuff. And if you can actually show it in EEG, I mean, EEG is not gonna lie. Brain waves are not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
It's hard data.
it is
right?
what is going on in the head right now. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only tool we have right now to have a look into the brain. But as you were saying with the motor cortex that's turned on when you're visualizing stuff, it's the same area as when you actually do, and you can see this in MRI. So stuff like this is crazy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Nice. Well, we should get you back.
Yeah,
because we're in a race
we're talking
week,
a lot,
and I could sit here and talk all evening about meditation stuff because I find it fascinating. But thank you, like I said, for making time. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners will. I hope you have a good last couple of races of the season and finish off 2024 with a bang. Look forward to seeing how it goes. Look forward to seeing more of your work alongside racing as well. It's super interesting. Maybe there'll be an English translated version of the hypnosis at some point. If you want any help with that, let me know. I'd love to get involved. But yeah, all the best for the rest of the week.
Thank you very much. It's been a really good podcast. I enjoyed the time, and
thanks, Lena.
hopefully speak soon.
Good stuff. Take care. See ya.
See ya.